Hi and welcome back to Spirit Lounge. Hope you guys are doing really well. Just checking the volume there, all working good. And we continue to go through the Chandogya Upanisad. This is the 6th chapter in the sequence, and we'll just put that straight onto the screen now and get underway. Okay. So as we know, the Upanisads are a 5th volume in what, as an extension of the 4 original Vedas, the Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva. They concentrate more ritual, sacrifice, hymns, prayer, the samas, the chanting, the practice of worship. Whereas the Upanisads are more the spiritual, esoteric, and the metaphysical aspects of it. Although it does absorb and ingest, and you reuse some of the original Veda literature and philosophy and scripture, so in there. So it was around 1200 to 400 B.C.E. written over that time span because it was contributed to by many ascetics, seers, gurus, and mystics that went into caves or forests mostly, and into meditative silence and practice, and brought back to them what they heard, what they received, what they experienced, what they understood, and that comprised the Upanisads. And there's quite a few stories in there too. So the Chandogya Upanishad again is linked to the Sama Veda, although uses some of the Rig Veda. Also in there, we're actually into the eight of the Chandogya Upanisads themselves. The first two go into, as I mentioned, the liturgy and the forms of worship, other doctrines, hymns, practices, and things like that. Okay, and this is another story here, so we'll go into this. Udalakas, teaching concerning the oneness of the self. So this is a part of a student and a father. So we go. So it says, there was Svedtaketu, rather, a religious student whose father said, "No one in our family who is unlearned in the Vedas, who is a Brahmana only by birth. Having become a pupil at the age of 12, returned, studied the Vedas, and became greatly conceited." So the father said, "Now so greatly conceited, you think yourself well read. And did you ask for that instruction?" So he's saying to the student, who was his son, who's returned, and in the family of learned people within the Vedas, that did they also teach him to be conceited while he was away? "Did you ask for that instruction? My dear, by one nugget of gold, all that is made of gold becomes known, the modification being only a name arising from speech, while the truth is that it is just gold. Please tell me that." So he's saying, does he know everything? Just as he received one nugget of gold, can he now make everything? And has he received everything that can be made from everything? Okay, and the primacy of being, next chapter. And I think this continues on from what we heard in that chapter. In the beginning, this was being alone. One only without a second, was non-being alone without a second, and nothing else exists. So this is talking about the infinite spirit being in the beginning, the only thing that existed, the only thing that was manifest from grace. Actually, the true expression of grace is our infinite spirit. Everything is a manifestation in illusion within source itself, and this universe being one of those things, as being the universal program in which we drop into manifested form to experience what it is to be, and what it is to be a form, and what it is to be. So the source, the divine, actually needed to understand itself, expressions of itself, which then go out and express what it is to be an I, to be is, to be being, to be alive, to be expressing, to be feeling in this, what we call matter, universe. Okay, from that non-being, being was produced, therefore matter produced, being form. Previous to creation, all this was being. Name and form were not. He does not have being as other things have being. He is his own being. Being is God. Above all conceptions, prior to all things, what is other than being is nothing. How could being be produced from non-being? So he's saying, how can matter be produced from non-matter? How can manifestation be produced from non-manifestation? Well, it's, as we know, it's intention and thought. Intention and thought transmutes the basis of all things, which is energy, into vibratory form, and perception, and the way it's being received and observed brings it into material form. Vibrational frequency of one thing is different to a vibrational frequency of another thing. Meets, therefore there's a force pushing one thing to another. Therefore it is felt, it is seen, it is heard, it is observed within our senses. It becomes an observational object. Okay. Okay. Beginning, this was being. In the beginning, this was being alone. One only without a second. Again, it repeats some things before. Again, it thought, "May I be many, may I grow forth." It sent forth fire. Remember, fire is the action part of the art of what it is. It's the active. Heat manifests. So in Vedic and also other practices, heat is regarded as that of fire, that which produces. That is the activity part. Is manifest. That water thought, "May I be many." Water, remember, is the Roisha, but also the producer of all things. It's the same as what was discussed in the Gnostic texts as water being the virginal water from which all things are manifest. Here, the fire is the activity, the heat that which expresses. Heat and fire can also be vibration, can also be thought and intention. Manifestation of fire being the manifestation of thought and energy into energy. Vibrating is fire, is movement, activity. It sent forth food, rains everywhere, therefore manifestation everywhere. There is abundant food. Food for eating is produced from water alone. Okay, threefold development. Now these living beings, there are only three origins. Born from an egg, born from a living being, born from a sprout. This is talking about food, different forms of food, in other words, but also humanity, born from an egg within a woman and fertilized in the similar kind of way. Material food it's talking about. Divinity, through divinity, but however, three being and origins of manifestation is also through divinity, is through thought and intention also. Let me enter into these three divinities by means of living self. Develop names, the divinity thought, to express to itself, let me enter three divinities by means of these living self. Develop names and forms. Divinity enter into into those three divinities by means of the living self and develop names and forms. So it's saying, this is suggesting that the divine suggested to manifest the three origins of form, which is either from an egg, a living being, or from a material sprout from the ground, or from a tree. And this is where life was born from them in the material plane. Again, what comes first, chicken or egg? Again, egg manifested through thought, so we could say an egg in that way. Okay, and the author comments, by union of being with the three elements of fire, water and earth, all varied manifestations of the world are produced. Three elements which are called devatas. Sat is pure being. Okay, concerning sleep, hunger, thirst and dying. Uddalaka, the student, the father said to his son, learn from me the true nature of sleep. And the true nature of sleep is regarded as the journey of a spiritual awakening, of enlightenment, and so forth. The nature of sleep in the Gnostic text is regarded as loss, as unenlightenment, as forgetting, as detachment. So it's kind of, they use the same word but in different context. A person here sleeps. He has reached pure being. He has gone to his own. They say he sleeps for he has gone to his own. In other words, the true nature of sleep is literally the end of the dream. The dream being the material experience, the illusion. Deep sleep is personal consciousness, where the personal consciousness subsides. Self is said to be absorbed in the higher self. The buddhi or understanding remains in a potential condition and becomes active in the dream and waking states. As a bird, so we go into this, they say he sleeps for he has gone to his own. As a bird, after flying in various directions. So in life we go in various directions. Remember, there's many spokes around the wheel. There are many stones to cross across the river of knowing, of grace, of enlightenment, of integration, the awakening of the spirit. There are many, many directions one can take. This is what this is saying, until you find a resting place and settles down in breath, in knowing within the spirit, within the self. That which is a subtle essence, the root of all this world, of this whole world, has for itself. That is the true, that is the self. A good couple of passages and sections there. I liked this section. And again, the comment taken out from here was "Thou art thou." I love this. Thou art thou. Thou art thou means thou is the individual I, the spiritual, the divine I. Thou art thou. The true thou is the individual, is the infinite spirit within. The divine nature of a human soul. The need to discriminate between the essential self and the accidents with which it is confused and the fetters by which it is bound. This is talking about the material experience, the material expression of self. I am thou, O great God, I, thou, and thou art I. This is a great, again, expression. Okay, the indwelling spirit. If creatures reach pure being every day, when they fall into sleep, how is it that they do not know that they attain that condition every day? Whatever they are in this world, tiger or lion or wolf or boar or worm, that they become. So in other words, it's saying here, as they reach pure being without being conscious of it, they return to their special forms. They also say, it's also suggested in Vedas that when we sleep, we actually transcend in our sleep to a more spiritual plane, but we return to the physical, material plane, to the state that which we were, but we transcend in our sleep also. But sleep is also not just when they're asleep, but this is the waking time when they go into when they become the divine I themselves as well. This is what this is saying. But then you're also within the physical body of what the form is that you've taken, so you still become that form. In subtle essence, this whole world has for itself, that is the tree, that is the true, that is the self, that art thou. The rivers east and west, they go just from sea to sea, they become the sea itself. These rivers, while they do not know, I am this one, I am that one, this mighty tree, they strike at the root, middle, top, it stands firm. This body, when deprived of the living self does not die. The subtle essence this whole world has for itself. It's effectively saying that no matter if we're detached from ourselves, regardless of what form we take, even if we deprive our material vessel and our conscious self of the true living self, the true living self does not die. Illustrations of the Nyagroda tree. And I don't know what the Nyagroda tree is, but it's a very short passage here. One sentence, in fact, I pulled from this. Bring hither a fruit, break it. So this is an example. This is an example that's for the student here, an example that the teacher gave. And let's see if we can break this down. It's very simple. It's there. I took the basic essence out. Bring hither a fruit, break it. See in there, find seeds. Break one of the seeds, see into the seeds. What do you see? Nothing at all. Subtle essences. This whole world has for itself, thou art thou. So the teacher explaining is how the world has name and form arising from pure being, which is subtle and does not possess name and form. And it says you can break everything down within itself, and there'll subtle essences or nothingness within them, but it's all pure being in all things. No matter how fine you go down into something, there is still the pure being within it. Okay, the need for a teacher. Okay, so this is again, we can seek a teacher in modern life. But my advice always is resonate with what resonates with you. Follow that path, but don't remain under the wings of anything or anyone. The journey will always end with yourself, and we must be moving towards learning all aspects, learning all what there is to understand about the journey that you're on, from all east, west, north, and south. The need for a teacher there isn't really a need. I believe my teacher is the divine itself, and I ask the divine to draw me to what I need to understand and know. There can be no greater teacher. But if one seeks rabbi, priest, pope, or guru, or ascetic, or mystic, then so do so. But do not remain there, do not worship at their feet either. They are not the conduit to all things. They are just a passageway that you can experience. So doesn't need to be a need for a teacher, and there definitely does not need to be a permanence under one either. Okay, one might lead a person away from the Gadharas, which are these celestial beings, with his eyes bandaged. So we turn blind, we turn away. I have been led here with my eyes bandaged. If one released his bandage and told him, in that direction are the Gadharas, go in that direction, I shall remain here only so long as I shall not be released from ignorance, then shall I reach perfection. So he's saying a teacher is regarded as being as essential as the remover of a bandage for a blindfold man who wishes to find his way home. Our eyes are not our bandage with desire for worldly possessions, which blind us. When we suddenly meet a person who knows the self, whose bonds have been broken, when he points the way, we feel that we are not mere creatures of the world, but we belong to the ultimate reality. Absolutely. A teacher or whatever, this channel, whatever book you read, no matter where you get your sources, these are modalities or to remove this bandage, this bandage from our eyes, this metaphorical bandage from our eyes, so we can start to see through all our senses and unravel our crown and third eye, align and vibrate all our chakras into one. This is what's called seeing. In here it's called sleep. But yeah, we can have one or many. But as I say, avoid worshipping someone else in replacement of the material self and putting someone else in its place. Okay, the order of the emergence. So this is just a comment really. There wasn't much in this, so I just took the comment out. Both those who know the truth and those who do not know the truth reach the ultimate reality at death. I'll come back to this. The former do not return to embodied life, while the latter do. Okay, well that depends on what state of expansion you've achieved in the material life, but that is what we're trying to achieve, is moksha. This is absolutely true. Even the most egotistical, the most nihilist, the most atheist, the most agnostic, name it. It doesn't matter in the end what we intellectualize and how egotistic we may wish to be. In the end, the breath will leave this body, and we will see the ultimate reality in the end. The whole challenge of here is to remove our egotistic selves, the ideologies we hold on to, the virtuous self-righteousness we hold on to, the worship of science, dogma, technology, and other people in white coats and behind pedestals of power or balconies of preaching. Is to move away from all of that and understand the ultimate reality whilst in this body completely. As far as the body will allow, as far as human and material experiences will allow. There's only so far you need to be experiencing, understand the reality in this body to the point of not needing to be in one anymore. There are other experiences, non-physical, that we can have to progress even further in the ultimate reality. But as we are living in our dense, lost state that we are as humanity, this body is where we will always come into, as described here. But at death, after each life, we will see the ultimate reality and the folly of our ways there, only to return to hopefully repeat life, but in a better way. Okay, illustration of the ordeal. They lead a man seized by the hand, saying, heat the axe for him. If he is the doer thereof, he takes hold of the heated axe and is burned. Then he is killed. He takes hold of the heated axe. He is not burned. Then he is released. In this case, he would not be burned. This has all that for itself. That is the true. That is the self. Thou art thou. This passage effectively illustrates to indicate how a person who knows when he reaches the real and does not return to embodied life, while he does not know when he reaches the real return, he returns to embodied life. So, in other words, it's the lead up a man seized by the hand, saying, "Heat the axe for him." If he is the doer thereof, he takes hold of the axe and is burned. Then he is killed. If he takes hold of the heated axe, he is not burnt. Then he is released. This is information. This is metaphorical or analogy for metaphorical actually for the notion of the heated axe being knowledge. If you know, it does not burn you. You are released. You understand it. It has no, the heating of it has no effect. If you are not, then it takes hold and you're killed because of ignorance, in other words. Okay, so that's the end of that chapter. I thought that was a pretty good chapter. I like that one, as amongst others. They're getting slightly better than they were. They're improving a little bit. Some go back and forth, but they're pretty good in general. They're getting it better, and I'm enjoying the book a little bit more than I was before. So, the Upanisads, rather. Look at the second coming, become, be, understand, not be ignorant to what we do and why we do it. Because that's transformative. Otherwise, everything else is just simple ritual and following. Okay, so I just want to say thank you again to everyone for listening to this video. Hope you enjoyed this other chapter, and we'll get on to the next one shortly. And so thank you again. God bless you all. Until next time. Thank you.